But that whole streak started after the Bucs dominated them a year ago, 33-16 in Week 4. For much more, here's Sal Palantonio.
Hey there, Kevin. Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield has been dealing with a painful bicep injury in his throwing arm, listed as questionable for Sunday's game against the Eagles. He didn't practice much this week, but when I saw him on the field today, he looked fine throwing the football. And Todd Bowles told me that Baker Mayfield will be, quote, ready to go. He wouldn't miss this game for the world. Remember last year, Mayfield 30 for 47, 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bucs rolled through the Eagles 33-16, but Mayfield told me the Super Bowl champs under Vic Fangio have a much more seasoned defense, a much more difficult defense to deal with.
Guys up front, we got to take care of them. So whether it's getting the ball out quick, making them run, obviously we have the advantage here in Tampa with the heat. So trying to tire those guys out, knowing that early in the game, probably not able to take a lot of shots. If you hold on the ball an extra tick, they're going to be there. So he does a great job coaching those guys up on the details and the safeties playing from top down. There's not a whole lot of stuff over the top of them.
So the Eagles came down a day early to get acclimated to the heat.
Unless they're going to have a full-fledged practice, that ain't going to happen.
Good news for the Bucs. Wide receiver Chris Godwin is back. Bad news, Mike Evans, the future Hall of Famer, he's out. And in the last 5 games when Evans has not been in the starting lineup, the Bucs have lost 5 straight. In Tampa, Sal Palantonio, ESPN.
Now, you heard Sal Pal hit on it. It wasn't just that there was a noticeable difference and that they went winless when Mike Evans wasn't there. They also
as for as dominant as Philly has been versus the NFC, the Bucs have actually beaten them the last 2 times they have played. Swagoo, I go to you. Are the Buccaneers the biggest challenge to the Eagles in the NFC?
No. It's the Detroit Lions. I'm not going to be dismissive of what I just saw from the Detroit Lions in Baltimore. That was a dominant performance against a team that I still think is a top 5 team in the NFL in Baltimore. Baltimore scored 30-plus points in each of their games and lost 2 of them. You usually win those, Mad Dog. But the unfortunate part is you played 2 teams that probably going to be there in the end in Buffalo and Detroit, right? And you may have to see Buffalo again. The Lions, that first week against Green Bay gave everybody a lot of pause because of the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator change. And I got to be honest, it did for me as well.
Same here.
They didn't look like the Detroit Lions, right? The physicality wasn't there. The explosive plays wasn't there. Jared Goff, none of the stars had any numbers. If it would have been a semblance of recognition, you'd be like, all right, it's just going to take them some time to work in it. But damn, did they get it going right after that. And then, so we in Baltimore Monday night, right, getting ready for the game. And Kelvin Shepard, the defense coordinator for the Detroit Lions, comes over and we talk for a little while. And it was just something about him that I was like, that's a lot of confidence to play against Lamar Jackson in Baltimore.
Good insight.
3rd week of the season. Got a lot of confidence. I said, how's Aiden Hutchinson doing? He was like, he's 100. That was his answer. He's 100. And it was just that aura that they built, that Dan Campbell has built, is back in Detroit. Now, I don't know if it was ever lost, but it looked like it in week 1. That's going to be a dominant team, and I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit represents the NFC in the Super Bowl. Still got Philly number 1, because Philly has won so many games and figures out ways to win them. But this iteration of Detroit is the most dangerous team to Philly.
No question about it. I completely agree with you. And I'm going to use the same energy because we fear here on First Take. I was all over John Moore, offensive coordinator, after week 1 because I'm like, listen, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs, Montgomery, Goff. You have all the pieces in place that you had over the last 2 or 3 years when Ben Johnson was there as the offensive coordinator. You can't go out there and wet the bed in the opener against the Green Bay Packers and look the way that they looked. So I was calling them out. Just like I called them out, now we got to give him some love.
No doubt.
He's the right man for the job. He's showing that he's proven that Dan Campbell made the right decision by letting him succeed, Ben Johnson, even instead of Ekstrand, who we looked at in week 1 for the New York Jets as the offensive coordinator, and we like, did you pick the wrong dude? Well, that didn't happen. Having said all of that, I think you're absolutely right about the Detroit Lions. I view them as the number 1 threat, but I don't want to dismiss Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, who's been balling for a couple of years. And I know Evans is going to be out for the next 3 to 4 weeks with his hamstring injury, but you got Evans, Godwin, and Ibuka when it really, really counts. With Baker Mayfield flinging that football. Wirth is coming back for the first time now at your left tackle spot. So you've got that secure as well. I'm just looking at Tampa Bay, and I'm saying they can beat anybody. I don't have them as the favorite over Philly. I don't have them as the favorite over the Detroit Lions, but they're going to have Detroit in their schedule. The only thing I would say about Tampa Bay is this, too, as well. A +6 point differential for a 3-0 start to a team is the smallest in NFL history. Yeah. All right? They won the games in like 59 seconds left, like 6 seconds left, and at the buzzer.
Weren't great teams.
Against the Falcons, the Texans, and the Jets. So, again, the jury is still out on them. I would say Detroit is the answer to this question.
What I was going to say.
Before you, though, Mad Dog, there's an argument you can make that the Rams still are the
100% right. Don't rule out San Francisco either.
I am.
They got a lot of guys banged up. Now, Bosa's injury is a major problem.
That's a major problem.
Rams have lost 3 times in the last 10 months to this Eagles team.
And 2 of them they could have won. I mean, the first game they got killed. But you guys hit it right in the head. The Bucs, listen, I can't go crazy. They won 1 game, the teams they've beaten. They're 1-8. Atlanta and the Texans and, of course, the Jets. So I can't go too crazy. To me, the Bucs are really about Mayfield, and that's the story for them. The Lions, it's about a team.
Yeah.
The defense, the offense, the quarterback, the running game, Campbell. The Bucs, their start is really the Ohio State kid's shown up too, but it's really about Mayfield. 4th quarter, chip on his shoulder, running on 4th and 10 for the first down against
awesome.
It's really about what he is doing more so than quote unquote team. The Lions, it's about the club. So that's the reason I would not make Tampa a legitimate threat to win the NFC.
I just want to remind everybody, and I know Philly came away with the win. The Rams were lining up for a field goal to win the game.
Of course.
So that is not as far away from that being the contender to the Philadelphia.
I think the Rams are very,
and they
very
were
dangerous.
dominant for a large part of that game.
I think the Rams, I think if you rank the NFC right now, I think you got to put Philly 1.
Lions, Rams.
I think you're right.
Yep.
I would go Philly, Lions, Rams, and I would go, you wouldn't, I would go San Francisco 4.
And I
go Tampa 5.
I would go Tampa 4 and San Francisco 5.
I would echo you guys. I was the biggest critic of that Lions team after week 1, and Jared Goff has proceeded to kick my teeth in.
Oh, he's played great. He's done a great job.
Thanks, Jared.
He's played really well.
I am actually very frustrated and agreeing with y'all so much. Like we got
another hour.
Well, you're dealing with
a cut above, a blocked field goal to score. And I'm not going to downplay, but I'm going to be realistic. Who was expecting that type of outcome? And it was definitely jaw-dropping. But when you have teams like the Detroit Lions, when you have teams like Green Bay Packers, when you have teams like Tampa Bay, obviously when you have teams like the Los Angeles Rams, these teams can generate offense, and that's going to be the nemesis that will be able to compete with teams like, or the team like Philadelphia Eagles. Am I going to snip their wings? Absolutely not, because they are a team that can find different ways to win football games, and you need that type of genetic to be able to, really have a deep playoff push, and that's what we've been able to see.
Peter, do you think this Eagles team is on a playing field all on their own in the NFC?
Well, they've won 13 straight games. They haven't lost since September of last year. And when you look at the Rams yesterday, I think the Rams, everyone was picking the Rams. This is the Rams game to